Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer, holding it down on the East Coast. We're going to run into some player props for you guys on this Friday night NBA slate as we roll on. Gives us a great opportunity to bring up that rest advantage tab that is new to thelines.com. Make sure you head over to that homepage, hit the odds tab, and find all those rest advantages, which are very crucial in this NBA season. As we know, Nate, plenty of stars sit out sometimes on the second leg of those back-to-backs. That often brings up some opportunities for some guys to step up that you might not be ready, really thinking about. So that's why we have this great player props video for you. And make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page, as well as get a FanDuel or DraftKings account if you do not yet have one. Head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area. Nate, let's jump into those player props. Where are you starting tonight?
Yeah, you talk about rest advantage. The Pacers also have a disadvantage in terms of no healthy bodies. Now they're going to be without Malcolm Brogdon, obviously already missing Karis LeVert. And so they take Warren. Yeah, and they're taking on a Nets team that's just looking to get right at this point offensively, especially James Harden, who's kind of been targeted by officials as they do use the point of emphasis early in the season that the offensive player cannot initiate contact, cannot hook players as they go up and draw free throws, to the point that Harden clearly feels he's not getting calls that in which he's not trying to do that. He's just getting hit. That's affected his points, certainly, but he's still getting 8 assists per game. Averaging 10.5 assists per game since joining the Nets. Shooters around him have been struggling a little bit, but I think they get right tonight against a Pacers team that's 29th in three-point defense and allowing the 4th most points per game. That's been a recipe for Harden, putting up a lot of stats recently in his last 5 against Indy: 32 points, 10 rebounds, 9.2 assists per game. So I like taking him to get a double-double, him to get those 10 assists tonight along with 10 points. And in a win with the Nets favored by 9 is plus 142 at FanDuel. Or you can just straight up take him to get over 8.5 assists. You can even maybe splash a little action on a triple-double at plus 650. He has been rebounding the ball very well and does against these Pacers who play with a lot of pace. And I would consider pairing some of those props with guys like Joe Harris to get over 11.5 points. He's going to be the recipient of a lot of Harden passes. And KD to get hot from deep. 3 trays in a win for KD at plus 190. Gotta like that against this Pacers team.
So that's why I'm actually eyeing KD's points prop right now, specifically 30 points and a win for the Brooklyn Nets gets you plus 148 in your money at FanDuel there. I also just like his total stats. If his points, rebounds, and assists is at 43.5. And as I mentioned, because I think he's doing a lot, he has to do a lot more this season. He's actually averaging 30, 10, and 5, right? So about 45 on the season. I do think he can get over that 30-point mark again against a really, really bad defensive team for the Pacers, who will be even worse on the perimeter without a good guard at the top like Malcolm Brogdon, who's a really good defensive player as well. So yeah, I think, either way, Brooklyn is where you want to look. There aren't very many props as we're shooting this available for the Pacers, but I did want to give a nod to Sabonis, who's coming off a really bad game. Nick Claxton may or may not play tonight. He's a guy that would have been a decent matchup for Sabonis and his versatility. But either way, Sabonis, even if Claxton is in, is somebody that I like to have a real nice bounce back game after a dreadful performance in their blowout loss to the Raptors, where he didn't even get 10 points for the first time in a little while there. So I think, taking his props when they are available, I'm not really looking for the Pacers to pull this one out in any way. There's a possibility for a backdoor cover, that giant spread around 8.5, 9 points. But still, I'm not taking them to win in Brooklyn. They're not a team that I trust right now. But I do think Sabonis props when they're there if you find them. But to what we have right now in front of us, KD is who I like for the Nets. It sounds like you're predicting that Harden breakout game, which I'm not going to argue with you. I think it's coming at some point, and then he'll be on his tear. But I kind of want to wait for it to happen and then jump on the bandwagon of betting on him. So.
Oh, we'll get ahead of the curve, Josh. I mean, I'm not worried about the blowout factor as much. And to your point, I think Sabonis will get his and keep this relatively close. But I think the reason that I'm not going heavy on KD props is because we know he can get his. He knows he can get his. It's the Nets as a unit that has been struggling. It's the supporting cast. And I think there's probably some discussions behind closed doors about just getting guys more involved. That's Harden's job. getting everybody else involved here tonight in this great opportunity, a great matchup against a team that just doesn't defend anything well. So I think maybe we see KD more in the 25-point range in a balanced attack for the Nets. But I'm not going to argue with taking the best player in the world to score against a poor defense. So by all means. One prop that I do love in the Heat Hornets game, which we haven't tackled yet, I think a 6-point spread against the Hornets is a little scary, but I think that they're going to get taken to school a little bit here. The Heat just continue to put up statements, just the best defensive team in the NBA by far, the best rebounding team by far, grabbing 82% of available defensive rebounds, and that starts with Bam Adebayo, who's averaging 19.3 points and 12.8 rebounds per game. Double-double in 3 out of 4 contests, missing a double-double by 1 rebound his last time out. So I think he gets a double-double tonight against the Hornets team that leads the Eastern Conference in pace. And if the Heat win and he gets that dub-dub, plus 158 at FanDuel, gotta like those odds. Also, just like the likelihood of him going over 20.5 points and rebounds, which he's done in every game so far. That's minus money at FanDuel, but still a great bet considering the Hornets' pace and the fact that they allow the highest percentage inside the arc in the entire NBA, 59.5%. And if you want to get some plus money, Bam to get 11 rebounds is plus 115 at DraftKings. He's routinely putting up 12, 13, 14 boards as the Heat continue to just shut teams down with that 92 defensive rating and pull away.
Yeah, and I had a really strong thought when the Hornets were winning their most recent game against the Magic and still gave up 111 points to the Orlando Magic, and it was like, all right, I guess that's what we're just doing this season in Charlotte. We're just gunning. We're running and we're gunning and we're going. And so I'm going to continue to love to pick some props in that game as well. That's not going to be how they win tonight, in my opinion. I mean, they're going to try to run and gun, but there's going to be plenty of shot attempts, to your point, for Bam in those rebounds. Love that bet. I mean, right now, like you said, they're getting 82% of their defensive rebounds, which is insane. They're obviously the best team in terms of their opponent's field goal percentage. Everybody's shooting under 40% from the field against them. And that leads to about 52, 55 missed shots a game. Plenty of opportunities for rebound for Bam, who does seem to be on a different level this year after probably having some tired legs last year as well. So those 19 points are super impressive from him on a team that's got plenty of scorers as well. So really feeling good. Definitely the 10 points. It's those 10 rebounds that I think you can also feel really, really good about against a team that's going to put up a ton of shots in Charlotte with that pace. So the last one I'll look at here is CJ McCollum in that Clippers-Blazers game. I would love to take Dame. I would love it to be a Dame Paul George shootout. You know, my initial thought before I started diving deeper into this one was, oh, sick. We got a Dame PG shootout come in with some Reggie Jackson splashing threes, maybe Eric Bledsoe getting in on the mix, and some CJ McCollum, some Covington in there, maybe some Anthony Simons, who seems to be an incredible 3-point shooter this year, really stepping up. But it's Dame doesn't look like Dame. Paul George has really regressed after a really nice opening night against the Warriors for him, and he's back down to about 24 points a game. Dame's averaging 17, still shooting really horribly from 3, and CJ's the one who stepped it up, right? CJ's been the guy at this point, which is why the Blazers are at least 2-2, right, and nothing worse than that right now. Is because CJ is averaging 26 points. He's got about over 4 threes made a game right now, which is incredible. And he's actually got pretty good stats in recent history against the Clippers. Last year in a win, he had 30 points in 32 minutes, and really in his last 11 versus them, he's averaging about 25. So if you want his over 23.5 points, I feel really, really good about that. He's also stepped it up in the other categories this year in terms of rebounds and assists. So if you want to consider his PRA 31.5 as well, they're really, you're just saying about 4 boards, 4 assists in that range for him. And he's got that point rebound and assist if he gets around that 23-point mark. So I feel really good about CJ tonight against a Clippers team that is pretty good at defense this year, better than I think we even expected them to be. But still, they're a lackluster team that's in jeopardy of falling out of playoff position really quickly, really early, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, pace when it comes to players' props, and the Blazers are playing at the fastest pace in the NBA thus far. Gotta love it for a guy like CJ who can, in semi-transition or transition, just get a bucket at any time. He's really loved playing against the Clippers. 24.5 points per game on 42% from three his last 11 meetings with them. And the last time these teams faced, he went for 24-4 in a 30-point blowout. I think we definitely expect a closer game tonight as the Blazers look to bounce back. And I think a closer game means more production from CJ and probably from Damian Lillard down the stretch. But like you said, we got to see it from Dame under the new coach. And CJ, I don't think you ever worry about finding his offense with his repertoire.
Yeah, not this year anyway. So a lot of good player props out there. Pretty fun Friday night slate. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. We're going to continue to be bringing you some of these winners all season long. Got a couple other videos out there for you. If you are interested in some game lines as well, make sure you check out our Kings and Pellies video, as well as that Nuggets and Mavericks game that we've got on there for you. And until we see y'all again, happy betting.